Hi, this is Bruce McCollum, and it is my pleasure to speak to you as the head of Direct Care Training and Resource Center today on 5 things that it takes to operate a successful home care company from the clinical to the financial. Of course, these are only 5 of the roughly 15 items or so I discuss in the Home Care Business Development and Operations Manual, which is available to you to obtain right away during or directly after this presentation. I've got about 13 years under my belt in the home care business, and you combine the number of persons that I've served, from home care to adult daycare to assisted living to respite services, the list will probably easily top 300. It was another 5 years before I started serving someone on a 24-hour basis, much more profitable cases, but also requiring much more supervision and management skill. One of those I served is likely now on your screen, Mrs. Hodge, who has been a delight to care for. You know, she was in her 80s when I met her and was sitting on the floor when I first walked in her assisted living apartment because her husband could no longer pick her up and because the home health company that was there at the time that we took over simply was not equipped to render the care they had claimed they could. My goal in this presentation is to give you a competitive edge over those kind of companies through 5 key elements of successful operation in home care. Again, these 5 are only about a third of the 15 or more I share in the manual, The Complete Guide to Success in Home Care. Here are the 5 areas. Number 1, maintaining a professional presentation. Number 2, cross-training personnel. Number 3, maintaining high standards of service delivery. Number 4, supervising personnel closely. And number 5, minimizing liability. Let's get started with the first. Maintain a professional presentation. From how you look on paper, which includes stationery and brochures and business cards, to the functionality of your website, you must maintain a professional presentation, a professional appearance. Let me break it down just a bit. I have noticed in my time business cards with the wrong colors, too many words, no explanation of services, and more. You cannot manage a home care operation like this. Case managers, claims adjusters, and others laugh at such an appearance. As an example, if you provide unskilled services, i.e. assistance with the activities of daily life, homemaking, etc., make this known in your advertisement literature, on your cards, so you're not getting calls asking you to care for someone who needs assistance managing wounds or incontinence. All it takes is a phone call with a referral one time, and somebody is told this is not your kind of case, and just maybe, even when a case comes across their desk that is among the type you can serve, you could get ignored. We've all said it a million times, you get one chance to make a good first impression. Make sure everybody knows what you do based upon what you distribute. Number 2 is cross-training personnel. What happens sometime in the private duty market is you serve people with multiple conditions or serious variances in conditions. I can recall serving a 27-year-old who was catastrophically injured in an auto collision, while at the same time serving an 85-year-old with a level of dementia. Both had certain similarities, but they were also vastly different. I made sure my staff understood the importance of relieving pressure so I could help both clients avoid the onset of highly dangerous wounds. I made sure both groups understood what kind of nutritional protocol was important in order for the body to have what it needed to fight wounds internally. Everyone was also trained in appropriate body mechanics so clients could be moved, transferred, without the client or my staff being injured. Now here's the mistake some companies make, both new and even the more experienced ones. They train their staff to serve one client, and if in the event they need to fill in for another case, they are quickly reminded that this person is really not qualified. Now you go into crisis mode. One of the most important considerations in private duty home care is avoiding crisis management. So you've got to make sure you cross-train your personnel. In the manual, I talk about how to do that with a complete list of subjects you cannot avoid, from your initial orientation to your ongoing in-services to special trainings you may schedule even with service bureaus throughout the course of the year. Number 3, maintaining high standards of service. This one we can never ignore. How do we ensure it is not avoided? For one thing, you must establish these standards that serve your clients well and make sure your entire management and care delivery staff is groomed in what those standards are and committed to uphold them. Do you know in my training company, tons of people in the group living and other businesses order self-study educational products from us? Do you know if you place an order with my company at 9 o'clock in the morning and you requested email delivery, that chances are you'll have that product by 10:30, 11:15 at the latest. If you place that order at 9 o'clock on Monday and request it via U.S. mail, it is likely in the mail by noon that same day. It is a standard I established. I do not play around with it. And our clients have come to appreciate it, and they've come to expect it. You must do the same. Make sure at least one supervisor met the home care client when the case was open. When personnel arrive to begin rendering services, this same supervisor accompanies them for the first visit and introduces this new caregiver. That way your client's not ever meeting a stranger. That's having high standards. Families and others appreciate such an effort. I can recall in the winter of 2002, I took over a new case, and the company we replaced was sent away by the family with only a day or so's notice. I was stunned when the daughter of my new client told me that in the 8 months or so they were being served by this company, they had never met a supervisor or a manager from there. You must never allow that to happen. In the manual, I give you 5 more tips on establishing killer service standards with reminders of how these benefit you in the daily execution of services. Item 4 in our quick discussion today is supervising personnel closely. Let me tell you, if this area is ignored, the pain is great. Sometimes we fall into the trap of believing that this person we've hired seems to be quite stable and our supervision can be minimal. This is a mistake. Regardless of your impression or opinion of anyone, everyone needs to be supervised. One of the most common problems you will run into is that streetwise manipulator who convinces themselves that they can render care without the umbrella of your company. Sometimes family members of clients and even guardians will play right into this pattern. My friends, I have seen it happen. The mistake they both make is serious. The staffing company must always be maintained in the loop because the liability created is yours and yours alone since you employ the personnel in that house. In addition, since you have provided guidelines for rendering care and the family has undoubtedly agreed to them, once they begin to deviate from them, the liability is automatic. Staffing issues should be addressed through your offices, not field personnel. Guardians and service coordinators must not provide direction to your personnel unless they allow you to send them the bill for your liability and workers' compensation insurance, and trust me, they will not want to do that. Tight supervision also allows you to see if an employee has become too comfortable. When this happens, liberties come next. Rules are soon broken, policies ignored, and when they start to approach their work each day in a sullen or haphazard manner, the family is quick to phone you, but slow to acknowledge the reality that they were the main contributors to the problem, the primary enablers. You must visit each case at least weekly, and have your office maintain contact perhaps twice a week or so by phone. I show you the best way to catalog this using computer software in the manual. Number 5, minimizing liability. Who among us would argue with the need to reduce liability? We all have to do it. There's no getting around it, and it's a huge issue. Okay? You've got to make sure, by the way, you accomplish this in a couple of ways. Number 1, conduct the appropriate criminal background checks on your employees. In my home state of Michigan, we utilize the long-term care employee workforce background check system so you can weed out violent and thieving felons from the work pool. This is certainly a liability-reducing process. You must check driving records, too. How do you know that someone you employ right now, who if even on occasion transports a client, was not arrested for drunk driving a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, released on personal bond, never missed a day of work, maybe even been sentenced since then to probation? Checking on a regular basis keeps you on top of this, and I give you a significant number of other items with regard to how to make sure your liability is reduced with that manual, and I even give you a couple of attorneys who specialize in nothing but risk management, and they run one of the most reputable insurance operations I've come across, and they give wonderful advice. My friends, it has been my pleasure to speak with you during this presentation. You can click to the right and get that business development manual today, along with a mentoring program available through my office that can assist you for years to come. I take a no-nonsense to getting things right in business. You won't make friends with the slackers, but you will prove to yourself that you're serious about what you're doing, and you will attract and maintain clients who appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. As always, you can find me on the web at www.directcaretraining.com, and I look forward to seeing you on the mountain of success.